The shopping mall's illumination was as unrelenting as the salesperson's piercing gaze. The inquiry descended upon him like a thunderclap from an otherwise unperturbed firmament. Despite the dreary November afternoon outside, Marco stood immobile, akin to a portrait captured in time, contemplating. This predicament harbored potential, yet wherein lay the deficiency of his comprehension? Perhaps he was never intended to comprehend. Perhaps existence itself was but an unbroken sequence of instances in which one gazed vacantly into the abyss of the unknown, and this was merely one such occasion. If I comprehend nothing, then nothing precludes me from acquiring this washing contraption, he declared, extending his bank card with an air of resolute conviction, all the while ensuring he had adequate funds, for should this appliance bear regal significance in the realm of laundering, he wished to avoid ignominy. The salesperson exhaled laboriously, shaking his head with visible fatigue. That, sir, is not a washing machine. It is a temporal displacement apparatus. Marco narrowed his eyes. Ah, but does it not cleanse the vestiges of time from one's garments? The vendor regarded his timepiece with an air of exasperation, pondering whether his remuneration truly justified such absurd exchanges. Press the button and discern for yourself. Marco complied. The shopping mall dissolved before his eyes. He now found himself amidst a medieval marketplace, his erstwhile sweater supplanted by a coarse burlap tunic. A ripe tomato arced through the air and struck him upon the cheek, leaving a vivid crimson stain. He barely had time to ponder how medieval society procured such exemplary produce before recognizing his predicament. He stood within an executioner's square. "What are you staring at like you don't understand anything?" thundered the town executioner, hefting a particularly lackluster axe. Marco smirked. A refrain I have encountered before. Just as the blade descended, the temporal mechanism re-engaged. Marco was thrust into a swirling maelstrom and emerged in a 1970s discotheque. His attire had metamorphosed into an ostentatious silver jumpsuit, and the denizens about him swayed their hips with a disconcerting elasticity. "What are you staring at like you don't understand anything?" inquired a resplendent gentleman adorned with an afro wig, proffering Marco a beverage. Marco accepted the goblet, took a tentative sip, and recoiled at the saccharine excesses of the era. He resolved forthwith to return to his own time before his pancreas succumbed to the deluge of sugar. He scoured the premises for the temporal apparatus, only to discern that it had transfigured into the club's disco sphere. Ascending the central dais, he seized the sphere and shook it vehemently. The lights flickered, the ground vanished, and Marco was once more cast adrift in time. This time, he alighted in the Wild West. His flamboyant jumpsuit had been supplanted by a dust-ridden poncho, and a revolver nestled at his hip. He stood in the midst of a duel, opposite a grizzled cowboy who spat upon the parched earth and drawled, "What are you staring at like you don't understand anything?" Marco had nary a moment to formulate a response before the firearm discharged. He braced himself, yet the expected impact never came. Opening his eyes, he discovered that he had been propelled into yet another epoch, a futuristic metropolis wherein holograms pirouetted through the air. A robotic sentinel scrutinized him with gleaming crimson optics and intoned in a modulated cadence, "What are you staring at like you don't understand anything?" Marco began to suspect that this was the quintessential inquiry underpinning the cosmos, and should he but unearth the precise response, he might well dismantle the very architecture of time. "I do not stare," he enunciated with deliberate gravitas. "I observe." The automaton narrowed, if indeed its ocular senses permitted such an expression, its gaze. Affirmative. Proceeding to the subsequent phase. Marco was once more ensnared by the vortex and was unceremoniously deposited in the shopping mall. The vendor regarded him with a countenance of profound weariness. "Will you be procuring the washing machine or not?" Marco hesitated but a moment. He retorted, striding purposefully from the establishment, eschewing the temporal contraption. Perhaps, on occasion, the paramount wisdom was in recognizing that comprehension was an unnecessary luxury.